Welcome in, GPS to God. We're so glad you're here, and we are also glad to have back with us Mr. Adam French. Thanks for coming back, buddy.
Honored to be here. Excited. Like I said, we got to get some kind of like special shirts that we wear when we're here. I'm tired of seeing that green, but you know. Hey, besides that, if we're here to talk about the Lord, that's good.
It is.
Well, he controls the lights on our little backdrop here, and he flips it to Eagles green.
You got to know
over
what
there.
you're stepping into when you're coming here, man. Got to know what you're stepping into.
I respect it. I respect it.
But we got Adam French with us, Zach Edson, Stefano Patterson, and Daniel Sanders here on GPS to God. Make sure you go check out our website, gpstogod.com, and you can drop us an email, mailroom@gpstogod.com. I forgot for a second. Bit of a pause there. I forgot. Mailroom@gpstogod. I'm going without notes. Mailroom@gpstogod.com. Man, get on that website. Lots of cool stuff. Check out the latest episodes. You can donate some money. You can do all kinds of stuff. But we're going to have a partnership up there before long. We're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But we didn't have a website last time you were here. We've upgraded. Well, we upgraded a lot since you were here last
Moving
time.
up. And as they say, you can't hide money, so you can't hide it.
Well,
So,
we've been
money's
looking for
coming
it. People been hiding it everywhere. We've been looking.
Hey, I mean, you got new what is this?
Headphones, yeah.
And green lights, and
Yeah.
it's just like, wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were in a shoebox last time Adam was here. So episodes-wise, he was here just not that many episodes ago, but time-wise, in real time, it's been probably 4 months or more. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
So because we took off, we had maybe 2-3 months between. We took a break there between recording episodes. So, if you're watching this, he was just here, a few episodes back. But in the real world, it's been a minute.
Been a little bit.
But man, we're going to get into a lot. The big thing, though, that we're going to hit on is something Adam talked about in his last episode was Recovery Refuge, and like we said, quite a bit of time has passed, and we got some news we're going to share about that. We're going to get into all that, but first, we're going to talk a little bit of sports. He brought up the Eagles. We're not going to talk about the Eagles, but
Let's talk about them in January.
Talk about how they're getting ready for the draft.
Wow.
But
I give one shot after y'all give me like 7 shots, so I can come back with one for every 7.
Yeah.
Keep filling the roster with ex-Titans, and they're gonna. It's inevitable that they're gonna be good.
You can label this episode like salty Titans fans, man. It's unfortunate. Hey, when it happened, I thought the same thing y'all are thinking now. Why on earth, why? But y'all weren't thinking that now because y'all were like, oh, let AJ go. He's not a big deal. Okay.
It's a lot of y'all. Like we have a vote.
Oh, yeah, you did. I did. I did. I keep receipts, man. I keep receipts, man. But it's all good.
Adam's being a little quiet over there, but I see his Instagram stories. He's got a couple young bucks in his house that get some Instagram time with some video clips. So what grade are your kids in?
I have an 8th grader and a 6th grader. So my 8th grader is quarterback at TW Hunter, plays outside linebacker. And then my 6th grader is running back and linebacker for the Junior Bucks, which I am the head coach of. So that's my 3rd year in a row. It's been fun. Enjoy doing it. It gives me an opportunity to mold young men. All we talk about is manhood and what it means to be a man. 4 things I talk about is attitude. Yes, sir, no, sir. You can control your attitude and you can control your effort 100%. And then the last 2 things are focus. If you know your job, you know what you're supposed to do, each and every play will be successful. And the last is faith. Believe that you're God. He got you out here. He made you play football. You got to believe in him, believe in yourself. I love the opportunity that football gives to teach so many life lessons. I know it's about winning, and there's a lot of hoopla around it. But the truth is, when you get out there in that field, I learned this as a youth pastor. I remember coming home and telling my wife I would come to Stratford, and Maurice Fitzgerald, one of my heroes, he was a long time, 40 years in Metro football. But one of the things I told my wife, I said, he has a greater influence than I do because he's with them every day, 3 hours after school. It's him and his team. I get him on Wednesdays and Sundays, and he kind of I can't in between. But so this opportunity to coach has been a blessing because I get to speak into the lives of men, and Also, I get to be there. I'm guaranteed time with my boys.
That's
you
right.
know, so
That's right.
it's a blessing.
Absolutely.
A lot of things. One more plug for the Fitzgeralds while we're on that is that they have an organization called Full Motion. And so for many, many years behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know this, Maurice Fitzgerald and his wife and their entire family have invested in young men and women and helped them to prepare for their ACT scores. So not only was he day in and day out in the trenches with young men and typically in areas where, low impoverished areas, things like that, he was also helping men and young women prepare for SAT to get into college. So you can look behind him, which is what we want for every man. That's what we want, right? To look behind us and see a whole group of men that are following us in the right direction, right? Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. And so when you look at Maurice Fitzgerald, you're going to see not just his life, but just a line of men who have went to college and have, for the first time in their families. I mean, so there's so much life change behind him, and he doesn't promote that, but he did that while being a full-time teacher and a coach and a husband and a father. So big shout out to him and that whole family. And just retired, I think this last year. This is maybe his first year, maybe second year that he didn't coach. But so there's a lot of opportunities in football and sports. We talk it up, but you talk about GPS to God. A lot of people find their way to God through football. And I've talked about this last time I was here. If it wasn't for a football field or a basketball court, I don't know where I would have been, because my dad was an alcoholic. My mom was on drugs. There was nobody at home. The hours I spent out there was a safe place for me. I didn't have a safe place at home. So I love it. Don't give me, I can't stop talking about football, right? So what kind of dad are you? Are you the, man, I just show up, I'm sitting quietly and we talk after the game? Are you the, I scream at the coach from the sideline? Or
I don't scream at the coach, because this is really the first time I haven't coached, right?
Okay.
And so I know what coaches – and I think I can tell by and large if a coach is in it for the team or in it for something else, right?
Right.
So I think this coach, his football coach is in it for the team. But I try and leave the coaches alone. That doesn't mean I agree with them. But, I don't yell at the coaches a lot from the sidelines. No,
I think it's just a topic that should be talked about more. If you think about it, from 13 and under, most coaches are dads. Mm. And it's always, you hear, the squeaky chain gets the oil. Like, you always hear the bad dad or this, but you rarely hear, there's average of 12, 14 teams, and there's always the stories of the one parent that's bad, but then there's the other 25 dads who work all day, 8 hours, come home, run home, get their kids. They're very realistic. They're very upfront with their parents, honest with their kids. They're there for the right reasons. And, there's the daddy ball is obviously a negative thing, but the dad coach, I think, is amazing. I think it's just a wonderful opportunity for men to step up and be there and be available. And I know even here at Parkway, there's a lot of men that step up in the church that maybe not even have a child, and just in y'all's basketball program. So that's one of my phrases, fall in love with the work. Almost every practice, if you're out there, you'll hear me screaming it, fall in love with the work. I'll make them repeat it. Because, if you can fall in love with the day-to-day grind, the day-to-day, it's the journey. It's not the outcomes. Yeah. That's why we live in so much disappointment, is because we have these unrealistic expectations, because we're so focused on the outcome instead of focused on the present, where my hands, where my feet are. I love to teach men that. Stay focused where your feet are. Do what you're supposed to do in the present, and then don't be on the results committee. Let God take care of the results. And if you fall in love with that, man, that's where I feel like when David's talking about teach us to number our days and lengthen our days. That's how we lengthen our days and shorten our years, is by, fall in love with the work. So great advice, Dad, Coach.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that goes against that approach, is that it's all about the highlight.
The top 10.
Unless you have a coach that is, and that's what's, I don't want to sound like the old man or anything, but that's what's wrong with most coaches. I wouldn't say most. Well, some. They don't have the priorities right as far as building young men, building character, instead of just going after. And it's hard now. I mean, it's hard now than it has, 10 or 15 years ago, because everything's on social media, everything's on the ESPN highlight and everything like that. So it's comforting when you have coaches that coach the right way, and that's difficult because society kind of goes against that, unfortunately.
Well, a lot of things, a lot of kids don't understand. They see these guys on TV. Those guys have put in the work. They've been out there grinding.
Yeah.
I mean, they're practicing, and they're professionals, so that's their job. But hours a day.
Right.
So you see just a little bit of, them dunking on somebody or touchdown runs or whatever.
You're seeing the result. You're not seeing the work.
Result of the work.
Right. It's not. Does your son give you, since it's closed practices, I know I have friends that kids play on teams and they just ask them how the practice go and they just say, oh, it went good. Whatever. Does he give you details or anything like that? Do you ask him like how's practice going and everything like that? Or do you just wake up, or do you just walk in the game just blind, not knowing what's going on?
Yeah, we talk every day about, what's happening in his life.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a lot of, I try not to, bombard him when he gets out. If I pick him up, how you doing? How was your day?
Right.
And it's funny, people may not like, I don't know. I always ask, like, what'd you have for lunch? Because I always try to make it personal. Right. Like, hey, man, I care about what you're eating. Sure. So that's one of my big things. Every time I pick him up, I'm like, man, what was for lunch today? Did you like it? You did? Okay. Just trying to be in touch with what's happening. But one of my things I do with my kids is at night, is I've always done this, is to go in and pray with them. So they get other stuff. We get in there, and that's kind of a time, kids always get spiritual right before bedtime, right? Because they don't want to go to sleep. Come on now, that's if you want to get theological, man, right before bed, that's when you get to bed. Dads always say, man, when I try to do my, my family devotion at dinner or this, I'm like, man, just right before bed, man. Everybody's going to be focused, man. Nobody wants to go sleep. But that's when I'll kind of check in and say, well, the day and, hey, what's going on? Like, how did you throw? How did you do this? And get details. And but I'm definitely more interested in what's going on in practice than he's willing to give out, and understanding that, that's not as important to him.
Right.
But for me, it's also like trying to have like these realistic conversations, like, hey, everything doesn't have to be good. Yeah. I've seen that more with my oldest son, of wanting to say, man, it's good. How'd you throw? Man, I threw great. Well, did you? Right. Well, it's like, hey, man, it's okay to have like an off day. It's okay to say, man, I threw the ball terrible today, but I'm still the starting quarterback, Dad. Like, I'm not looking for, because you did, my praises aren't on the tip of my tongue based on your performance. Yeah. Right. It's like, I just want to know what's going on. Yeah. So those are it's a drawing it out, and I feel like I'm always coaching, my kids on, how to, a lot of things. I think we talk less of this with young men, is really teaching them how to express themselves emotionally. Everything says hide your emotions. I have also, having, this is kind of a sensitive subject, but having mixed children too, it's like, hey, the angry black man. So it's like, hey, everything, he's even more reserved, more wanting to bottle it in, So it's like, I'm always talking about, man, how you feeling? Put words to what's happening, putting words to your emotions. You'd have asked me when I was 14, how you felt about, I could not describe any emotions.
All right. Just be good.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
That's it.
That's it, right? There's a phrase or there's an idea that says, like, when you're hurt, right? If you're so hurt that you want to hide it. So the whole idea of like, I'm fine is that, hey, I don't want to have to dig deep into what I'm saying.
Gloss over it.
So it's a shutdown. It's a close the door.
Yep.
Like, hey, I'm fine, because if I have to walk, I don't want to bring up this hurt, because then I have to feel it. It's the whole reason why I'm hiding it. So, but yeah, just it's amazing what the football can bring in. You have to keep that balance where it doesn't become like the priority of your whole family. Sports can kind of take over the rhythm of your family, so you have to fight against that. Like, hey, it's more important that we have dinner tonight. It's more important that no, you're not spending the night somewhere because every night this week we've been at football and basketball. We need family time. So like putting those, and I think you have to be present as a man to feel that, and it's a lot easier. And I've failed at going, y'all just, I'm gonna sit on the TV because I'm so exhausted. I'm gonna watch football, right? Instead of saying, no, you can't go here. We need to all be sitting on the couch together tonight. So we have to fight against that passivity. I'm big on it. Men have to fight for their families because before you know it, the boys will be gone, the girls will be gone, and you don't have that opportunity to shape and mold them.
Yeah.
I do talk to Carter about practice, but this is his first year playing football. He's never played before. So he went through spring practice and all that kind of stuff. So at the beginning, it was like, hey, man, how was practice? And he was, fine. Well, what'd you do? What was a drill that you did? But for him, he had never done it before, so he was excited about, man, today we hit the tackling sleds and all the, stuff
cool.
he's seen in movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that. What'd y'all do? So, tell me the drills. And that was early on. But like when we get to the regular season practice, what did you do? And now it's about like more mental preparation, and like, what y'all work on today? Did you do team stuff? Did you do individual stuff? Well, we did some team stuff, but I didn't really get in. Well, why not? What happened? Well, I could have got in, but somebody else just beat me out there. And I said, so that's an attitude thing, right? Like, or an effort thing. I said, that has nothing to do with the coach or your teammates. That's just your effort level. I said, you control that. And if you're just out there to be with your friends and hang out and be well, that's fine. But you need to determine, why are you out there? What are you trying to do being out there? And the mental side. And it's for him, it's not about his performance, right? He came in a couple weeks ago before he broke his wrist. He's like, Dad, I got to tell you something. I was like, what? What's up, man? How's it going? He's like, I got pancaked today hard. I'm like, really? What? Because he normally is offensive line. Every once in a while, he'll get like defensive scout team or something. He said, man, I was out there and I kind of did a little block, took a step back, and this dude came and just leveled me. I was like, did you just like, space out or what? He said, well, it was a run play and it went to the other side, so I kind of relaxed and I was just chilling, and then I was on my back. So, but I mean, just for him, it's like, the mental side of it. What are you doing? What are you, control what you can control, your effort, your attitude, how you interact with your teammates and all that kind of stuff, more than are you throwing the ball well? Did you catch a touchdown? Did you pancake somebody? It's not about that side of it. It's about, because, I mean, that's going to carry him forward through high school, through adulthood, your attitude, your effort, what you can control. So.
I'm sure for you, I mean, as well, being a head coach, I mean, you're building a program, and like you said, you have to fight against that urge to turn football off and family on. Because, I mean, you could easily every night just bury yourself in that or whatever like that and just, let the family thing go to the side. But that's good that you –
it's a hard balance.
That's a good thing that you have to be intentional.
Yeah.
Hard balance for people that are competitive.
For sure.
We're all competitive.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because your juices are going and everything.
Yeah.
You got a successful team and, you don't want to not prepare for something or anything. So you can lose yourself probably in – thinking about that all night.
I got a whistle that I'll say this. I've got a F-350. It's 22 years old. It was my biological father's truck, and I only drive it to football practice. We get in there, it's kind of like, I've been doing it forever. So truck starts off, they know we're going to football. And so they'll hop in the back, we'll drive over there. But when I get in there, when practice is over, I get in, I take off my whistle, and I hang it on the rearview mirror, and football's done.
Yeah.
Now, it may not be done in my preparation. I maybe watch a video or whatever, but as far as Joseph, I'm not his coach anymore.
Yep.
As soon as I get in there, it's like, we want to eat. Man, I hope Mom made dinner. Well, if she didn't, don't say anything, man. All right? Don't say a word. You walk in, you're starving after football, and you don't smell anything. Don't say a word. Let me figure out how to approach it.
Just put your head down.
Yeah,
Just put your head down.
So we both don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I'll just start making ramen noodles, and unless she stops me, we'll eat noodles.
Go get your shower. Turn the shower on. Let the water warm up.
Right.
But if you did not listen to Adam's last episode, go and listen to that. He gets into his life story, and it is great, and how God protected him and guided him really from childhood on through a lot of things he kind of mentioned just a little bit earlier. But the name of that episode is Hearing the Silence. Go check that episode out. It is great. And one of the things that briefly touched on was your ministry that you are starting up. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We've got some big things going on here in just a couple of weeks coming up. So, man, hit us up with the news. Let's get into that.
Awesome. I want to take a couple seconds here, a few minutes, maybe just tell the backstory, because it's just God's story, and I want to give him all the glory. And we, I pastored at Long Hollow after the Lord had completely changed my life as a youth pastor, and then we felt like God was calling us to Memphis, and we started a ministry called The View, and really just took off. Just incredible time there. But while we were there, God started to really urge in our hearts, and we felt like God was telling us to come back to this area. And I know Robbie wouldn't mind me saying, I texted Robbie, I'm like, hey, we're going to come back. You got a job? He's like, I ain't got nothing. So I'm like, what in the world, And so we literally drove back with a U-Haul and just our stuff 3 years ago, with not a plan. The plan was trust God. And I pulled up we drove back. We're going to stay at my mom's house. We got everything in U-Haul. I pull in, I get a call from a guy, and he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know I've been lying to you. I'm struggling. I'm about to lose everything. I'm using again. And I just pulled into the driveway, and that was my first day back in Nashville. And I was like, okay. So I started walking with him through a year, and in that time, he struggled tremendously. And it was actually on Christmas Eve that he had called and just said, hey, my wife kicked me out. She caught me again. Like, I got to do something different. And that's when my wife and I really were burdened, because we couldn't find a place that we felt good about sending him, a place that would not give him medication administration treatment. So there's a thing called MAT, which is when you have an addiction, you come to a treatment facility, they're going to diagnose you based on your addiction, and they're going to prescribe you a synthetic medication that will supposed to help you taper off. And in my 13 years of sobriety, I've got a degree in counseling, and as an ordained pastor, been ministering to men specifically with addiction. I've yet to see anybody successfully taper off of drugs through medication administration treatment. And in that time, since we've been using this as a society, the overdose death rate has risen. So in Sumner County alone, every 48 hours, someone overdoses and dies.
Wow.
Every 48 hours. Well, we don't even have a coroner in Sumner County. So that means if someone passes away and you want to get the body autopsy done, you have to pay, send them to Davidson County, and that's where that stat comes from. So, we just filmed a whole bunch of stuff today with some EMS people, and one guy told me in a 24-hour period as working for Sumner County EMS, 12 overdoses.
Wow.
So there's this epidemic, right? People are dying left and right, and the opportunities we have for them are not successful. They're not being successful. So we started to be burdened about it, and I was like, man, I don't want to be the recovery guy. Like, that's my story. I'm supposed to be like a pastor. My next step is being a lead pastor. I love to teach the Bible. You guys can see, I can sit and talk about anything, right? So, but God just began to just shake me and squeeze us, and we could not let it go. And so we said, we're going to pray for 10 months. We prayed for 10 months. At the end of that 10 months, we filed the paperwork to start our 501c3, which is Recovery Refuge. We had everything back within the next 4 months, which is unheard of. Normally it takes anywhere from 8 to 12, 6 at the earliest. So we had all of our paperwork, everything from the IRS, fully legal. And then I get a call from a friend of mine. He says, "Hey, I heard about what you're doing. Can you meet me?" He hands me a $100,000 check. And I'm like, "What's this?" He said, "This is for Recovery Refuge."
Wow.
That was on a Monday. Well, then I get a call from Long Hollow, actually, church. They said, "Hey, listen, we heard about what you're doing. We've been praying about this. You didn't know this, but we have always wanted to do this. We've always wanted to have a place for people to come because every Sunday morning we have men and women come forward, and they're in need. They need a place to send them. There's a big Celebrate Recovery at Long Hollow on Monday nights, but some people need to get away. And they said, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We believe in you. We're gonna join in with you. So we're gonna do our Easter offering. We're gonna take a big portion of that, and we're gonna send it to you." I'm like, "Okay, Lord, like what's going on here?" And so it just started to fan the flame. God just continued to push it. And I've been able to meet with Governor Bill Lee twice and discuss this opportunity. And so now we said, look, there's so many people that are behind this. My original model was 2024, maybe we'll be able to, have our first, we'll be able to find some land by raising money on that time. 2025, we might have our first person, right? Well, now we're looking at land. I believe that we'll have our first man in 2023 next year, because it's God's plan. It was all God's vision, all God's dream. And so what's coming up on October the 13th, it's a Thursday night. So Thursday, October the 13th from 6 to 7:30 is our inaugural dinner. And so you can go to recoveryrefuge.care if you want to learn more about that or sign up or register. It's free. And so that night, we want to do two things. One, we want to bring awareness, right? We want to let people know what's happening in your neighborhood, in your backyard, in your school systems, because it is happening and nobody's talking about it. Just the Vietnam War, 14, 16 years, 87,000 people died. In 2020, 91,000 people overdosed and died. So, you're talking a decade plus long war compared to 1 year of overdose. And we're not talking about it and in terms of solutions in the church. So we want to bring awareness to that, and we want to show what our plan is. And a little piece of that plan is that when someone comes forward on a Sunday morning, or a family member that you may have, we want you to turn to the church. We want you to turn to the body of Christ, and I'm actually talking with Pastor Matt about this too, about him being a partner. And we want them to call us, and a man can come and stay with us for 8 months. And I won't get into all the details of the program, but they'll stay with us for 8 months. And at the end of that 8 month, it'll kind of vary based on their situation, right? A man who doesn't need a job, that's going to look different from a man who does need a job, so forth. For after that 8 months, it's going to look a little bit different. But the plan is we're going to stay with them for 36 months. Jesus stayed with the disciples for 3 years. So you think about 12 men that were face-to-face with God for 3 years, and one of them didn't get it. So how long is it going to take us through the relational discipleship to change the trajectory of a man's life, right? And so we want to bring awareness and talk about what's going on, what's happening, and there's so much more that you need to know as a parent, as a grandparent, as a father, as a mother, about the things that are out there that are scary for your kids, and what's happening around you. And the other thing is resources. At the end of the night, we'll make an ask. We found 30 acres in Westmoreland that has a barn dominium on it. We don't have to buy it. If somebody wants to give us land, we'll take it, right? We are praying. I've been praying for 40 acres plus, right? We need land, like we do. We need land, and we've got some resources already. But this will help us kind of get to the place that we need to purchase that land. And so that's what October the 13th is about, is to bring awareness and to raise resources to launch this and have a safe place when someone comes forward during an altar call, And we hope that they'll come from the church, and then we want to be able to be the avenue that they come back to the church and be givers in the church, be a part of the body of Christ and serving and giving and that sort of thing. So that's the Recovery Refuge in a nutshell. You can. I don't mind about talking about any details, but I don't know how far in the weeds you want to get.
Oh, we're going to go as far as you want to go, but let's talk a little bit about the dinner, because
Sure.
Well, I was going to ask about that. Is it like you sponsor a table? You mentioned it's free, so you show up, or is it on the individual as they feel led, or?
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, so the way we do it right now is we have table hosts. So it's a table host. There's six seats at a table. So if you're listening and you say, "Man, I've got 5 other people that I can bring with me. Like there's 5 other people. I'll come. I know I can fill a table." Then you can go to recoveryrefuge.care and you'll see there's a banner across that says "Sign up for the banquet." You click it. At the bottom of that, it'll say table host, and you click that, and you can be a recovery, or you can host a table. And so what'll happen is you'll just when you sign up, I'll send you a sample text and email that you can easily copy paste and send out to your friends. And we've got a digital flyer, so I try to make it easy for you. Like I'm giving you everything you need, fellas, ladies. Like I'm giving it all to you. You copy paste it, send it, and then they'll click a link. When they click the link, they fill out their information, and then your name will be a table host because automatically you go in there and they select your name and they're at your table. And the reason why that happens is because when you arrive on October the 13th at 6, you'll come in, you'll have a name tag, it'll have your table. You'll go to your table, grab your plate, get your food, sit down, and then we'll give you a couple minutes, start eating, and then the night starts. But I'm not doing pay to play or pay to come. There's no fee to host a table. Anybody can come. If you don't feel like you can host a table, then you can select on the website where it says join any table. So if you go to recoveryrefuge.care, click that. It says join any table on the table host drop down menu, and you can just sit anywhere. You can select my name. Come sit at Adam French's table. I'll have a bunch of tables. Come sit with me, and I'll be walking around meeting people. So thanks for asking that. We want as many people there as we can to bring awareness and to raise resources to start helping men today.
Y'all have a max capacity right now?
We can have 100, and the most ever at Long Hollow a banquet was 125 tables. So we're right at 80 tables right now for our inaugural banquet, and so we're praying for 126.
There we go.
That's right.
Breaking records.
For the Eagles fans, right? We got to one up people, man.
that competitive spirit, it goes all over.
That's it. That's it.
So October 13th, that's the date of the dinner coming up here in just a few weeks. What time does that start, or what's the time of the dinner?
Yeah, 6 to 7:30. It's going to be a hard stop. Right at 7:30, we will stop. I really want it to be 6 to 7, but then, my wife is saying, you're going to make people eat fast, so it's like, all right, I'm going to give people time to sit down and eat and kind of have some conversation, and then we'll get into it. But we've also, our keynote speaker is actually Robbie Gallaty, who he'll have on May the 2nd, it'll be his 18 years of sobriety. Of course, Robbie's done a whole bunch of things, written several books. He's a pastor at Long Hollow, but has a great story of recovery and redemption. And he started a ministry called Replicate Ministries, and him and I are really good friends. So he's going to share a little bit about his story. He's also going to talk about why, why in our community, why support Recovery Refuge, why is this so important? And also we've got I'm really excited about this. We have First Baptist Winchester in Gallatin. Their choir is going to be there. It's the gospel choir is going to join in tandem with Long Hollow Worship. So there should be some cool music coming out. We're going to put a little feel on there, get a little spiritual, baby, dancing around. You don't have whatever you feel. I don't care if you get up and run around like, hey, it's open, it's free. Just don't knock anybody down. It's not football practice.
That's right.
But we're going to worship together. We're going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to try to share the truth about where we are as a community. And you don't just have to be in Sumner County. We're just kind of focusing on that just to shed the light. Like, hey, most people would look over here and go, man, this is a wealthier community, third wealthiest county. Like, hey, you would think that, man, drugs, alcohol, it's low. It's like, no, it's not. Like, this is where our state. We're the 5th worst state in the nation when it comes to overdose. And so It's just, it's really, really prevalent. And that's why, Bill Lee's so interested, and he's excited about what we're doing. And I'm excited about him, love being behind this and believing that there is another way than medication administration treatment. I
had that in my notes to ask you about and just speak on a little bit, but you've touched on it. We're in a bubble, right? Mm-hmm. Like we think, we see this on TV. It's not in our neighborhoods. There's no addiction problems around us, but it's next door. It's literally next door, and just, those people are in the shadows because they're, not in a great place. But it's not something we just see on TV or in a movie or whatever. It is right here in the middle of wherever you live. If you are listening to this in whatever state, whatever country, the same thing is going on around you or close to you. You may not know it or realize it, but we're all in the middle of this struggle.
Yeah, and I think the biggest misconception about addiction is that people don't understand the evolution of it. So, 20 years ago, well, oh my gosh, no, I'm so old. 30 years ago, right? We would, you picture addiction as, someone that's smoking crack, somebody who's got crack rocks, you wouldn't even see, like, you would consider marijuana and cocaine as like these recreational drugs and things like that. And people almost would say, when I was in college or high school, like, did that, tried that, You would say that with your buddies. You wouldn't say that on Sunday mornings from the pulpit, right? But we all get it. Like, hey, things happen when we're young and we're not following Christ and we've fallen away. And I'm not encouraging that to anyone, but I'm saying those things are kind of acceptable. And we think the people who I'm talking about are not people that have done that. I'm talking about somebody who, mom, was a heroin addict or was and that has totally changed. That's not why people are dying every 48 hours in Sumner County, right? I mean, the stories are unbelievable. Most of the stories that I hear now of deaths or people that are being addicted are because they had an injury. So we just talked about this. We're so competitive, right? We don't know when to stop. Mm-hmm. Hey guys, I've stopped. I don't even play full court basketball, right? I'll play half court with my boys. That's about it. Like, I've figured it out. I've seen enough ACLs and all that.
Zach's looking over here because we have a basketball game this
Saturday. I just got roped into a basketball game on Saturday, and I told them, have y'all checked the batteries in the defibrillator? Because I want to make sure, should something happen, that somebody can work those paddles.
Just be careful on your cuts, like the knees. That's
that's next to the water fountains where you're gonna find me.
Well, it's funny. Like, we're laughing about it, but let's just say Saturday, God forbid, someone were to get injured. Right, you go to the doctor, they are going to give you. It depends on who it is, but a majority of them are going to give you something that's highly addictive. For instance, Robbie was driving, 18-wheeler, blew a tire, came up, hit the back of his car, right? Seat belt snap, broke a bunch of stuff in his back, goes to the doctor. Doctor gives him Klonopin, stuff I can't even name. They just over and over and over, right? Next thing you know, he's on the street. I mean, you think, no. I just literally talked to a friend of mine who I called before here, right? Because I was asking him to help me pronounce my book in Spanish.
We're going to plug that.
We'll plug that later, right? My Colombian friend, Hader, I love him. Praise God. He's one of my best friends. He just had knee surgery. And we were talking about this. And he said, Adam, like, he had Oxycontin. He said, I was in pain. He said, but when I finished, I felt this urge. Like, if my wife wouldn't have been there, if I wouldn't have known everything, he's like, it was so, he felt like he had withdrawals, he was sick, he had diarrhea. He only took it for a week.
Yeah.
So, and as I've been calling and recruiting people and talking about, hey, would you be a table host? I went through all my friends and said, hey, would you host a table? Story after story of like, man, I had a root canal. And he's like, man, I'm thinking of Steve Reynolds, who actually is one of the coaches at Knox Doss, coaches 6th grade and helps coaches with the middle school. And he was telling me, he said, man, I've experienced that. He had something going on. I can't remember if it was his tooth or arm or something, but he was like, man, I could not believe, when I didn't even take them all, I just took a couple and I was prescribed, of how my body felt, like the sweating, I didn't sleep good. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is how it happens. Most of the deaths, you're going to say, I had knee surgery, I broke an ankle. So that's what I think is the biggest misconception. When you think of like someone who is addicted, you think it's not someone who has a good job, who has a degree and is coaching football. The demographic of men that are being addicted are we represent right here. Us. We are the highest demographic of people becoming addicted and losing everything.
2004, I broke my leg and had surgery and had Oxycontin prescribed. Took it for a week as, prescribed whatever, 4 hours or whatever it was. Ran out. I went back for a checkup, and I was fine. I was done. But my wife was with me because I couldn't drive or anything. She took me. She told the doctor, how's everything going? I was like, I'm good. I'm good. That same old typical answer, right? I'm good. But my wife, standing right behind me, said, he doesn't sleep at night. And so the doctor said, well, I'm going to refill your prescription, and I want you to take 2 of those every night before you go to bed. And my wife came from a great place. She was, because I wasn't sleeping. Of course, my leg hurt, right? And I was wrapped up and couldn't move. But refilled the prescription, and I just every night was taking 2 before I went to bed. And when that bottle ran out a week later or whatever it was, or I was down to my last 2 pills or something, I remember I was sitting on the couch, my leg propped up by myself, and I looked at that bottle and I said, I'm about to run out tonight. What can I tell the doctor that he's going to give me another bottle? Mm. I had that thought, and I'd never had drug issues or wants or desires in my entire life. I was 22 or 23 when this happened. Mm. Never struggled with drugs, and I remember that thought of, what can I tell the doctor that he'll refill that for me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, 5 seconds later, it was, you cannot get this refilled.
Right.
And
praise God for that.
Praise God. That was a God intervention in my life, because that was not coming from me. Right. But I have zero doubt, if I would have had that refilled, who knows where I would have been. Mm-hmm. But he struck my mind of, you cannot get that refilled. Mm. And praise God, I've never had that struggle or issue since either. But
right.
Mm. What's the job, if you will, as far as like a table host, right? Are they responsible for recruiting for that table? Is that?
Yeah. So a table host, is ideally someone who says, I want to know more about how I can help this, right? It may not be your story, it may not be a part of your family. Statistically, they say when the room is full, 2/3 of the room is touched by addiction somehow, some way. So every one of us, 2/3 of us, break us up, right? Someone they're touched. So the other half that say, hey, maybe I may not be touched, but maybe I can bring people along who might be able to support, who might be able to give, who might be able to help, because I don't want this to one day hit my kid, or this could hit my family. So a table host, it says, I'm willing to help. I'm willing to come alongside you and support this ministry by getting people in the room that can hear and maybe be able to offer resources. So what they would do is they would go on the website, fill it out, and then recruit 5 other people to come with them. And it should be a fun night. Like I said, it's going to be some great music, great food, great fellowship, and we're going to kind of present the plan for how we're going to be different than what's already out there. So, yeah, they would say, hey, I can bring 5 friends with me. This will be fun. And you show up together, you sit together, enjoy the meal, and kind of enjoy the night. So there's no pressure to give. There will be an ask at the end of the night, but you don't have to pay for your plate or pay for your table. My thought is, if we get in the room and just pulling the curtain back here, you got to have resources, right? Everything you do costs money. The gospel's free, but it costs to get it to the ends of the earth, right? And you guys have talked about this. This is great, but you got to cost to get all this equipment here and make it happen. So for me, I'm going, hey, get everybody in the room. Let's tell the truth about what's happening. Let's tell the truth about what our plan is, and just let the Holy Spirit work, And if you want to join in, great. If you don't, then you know what we're about. And I think that's all you can do, is be honest with people and be, show people, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're going to do. This is no show, no pony show. This is who we are. This is what we're going to do. When you want to be a part of it, then come alongside of us.
So October 13th, 6 o'clock to 7:30, if you are in the greater Nashville area, that would be a great thing for you to sign up for. recoveryrefuge.care, recoveryrefuge.care. And we're going to also put a link on our website, gpstogod.com.
Thank you.
I haven't asked Adam if we can do that, but hey, do you mind if we do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to put a link on our website as well, but recoveryrefuge.care. You can go on there, get signed up for the dinner, be a table host, or just go by yourself. If you don't think you can recruit or don't want to recruit, go sit at someone else's table. Recoveryrefuge.care. 6 o'clock to 7:30. Food, music, great stories, good times. So let's hit the book, man. So when you were here before, you talked about Mandenity.
Right.
You signed a copy for us, kind of walked through that.
Yeah.
Great story, but you got something the same but different.
It's same but different. Yeah, we really excited about this. One of the things we learned in prison, well, by the way, so 4,300 men go through Mandenity inside prison every month. So we're really grateful for that. It's 100% free. That's digital. They go through it digitally on tablets. So we get about 4,300 to go through and complete the 12 chapters that they have and all the questions that go along with it. So, but what we realized is that there was a majority of there's a portion of men that are in prison that only speak Spanish. They only read Spanish. They only communicate in Spanish. And so my heart was, man, what can I do? What does it cost? How can we get Mandenity translated into Spanish? And so it took a while, right, to find somebody who's willing to take on the task and, just the whole process of translating everything. But we have officially now Hombre Identidad. I don't know if I said that right. Don't judge me, right?
He is not a native Spanish speaker.
I'm not.
He did call in. What's your friend's name from Colombia?
I've called in Hader Vargas. So,
there we go.
So he, this is actually, we went back and forth on the title. I do know that there were several Spanish speakers that, because this is not like Mandenity isn't a normal English word,
it's
right?
a made-up word. We make up words here all the time.
You know what I'm saying? You got to make them up, right? So this is one of those made-up words, and so it took us a while to come up with this, but so anyways, people say that's the way it is, and so those are out now and officially, and I was telling before this, I don't know why or for what reason, but this book has already sold equivalent to what the English has since it's been out. So it's
that's awesome.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of men who are going through it. We've also got it in the prison as well. So we don't break down English and Spanish, but a part of that 4,300 is Spanish speaking. So we're really excited about it. There's actually some Spanish ministries that are going through it as well. I've given so many of these out, and it's a good 12-week study for any group. So anybody out there who has a Spanish ministry, or if you're a Spanish pastor, feel free to contact me. It's the Adam French at the Adam French, or you can contact the Recovery Refuge. We can get you copies out. And actually, Men of Valor uses this for their English and Spanish version, so it's a curriculum at Men of Valor that they use. And there's several other programs that we've given it to, and we're fixing to use it in our Knoxville campus as well. So I'm just grateful for how God's using it. And then, as I talked about before, if you're like, all right, well, what is this about? I think you could go back and watch the other episode. We talk a lot about it, but in the short, it's just a slow walk through your soul. Everybody, there's no one who ever walked planet Earth who doesn't have pain, who doesn't have hurt, who doesn't have a story. And that's not the problem. The problem is that we don't deal with it, right? We carry that around, we hide it, and then we walk around with a mask. Because we're trying to hide the pain that we have inside. And so it's a chance for you to kind of, just set the foundation, clear the slate, walk through it, and let God kind of do the work on the inside. So I always say it's an inside job. If you want to make a difference on the outside, you got to do the work on the inside. And that's what the book does. It's kind of a slow walk through your heart. So thanks for asking me about it. And I know there's about 60 Spanish speaking people right next door to us, and so
Adam gave a copy away today on walking up here to the studio. We had a large ESL group right next door and gave one away. We've got Mandenity on both bookshelves here, trying to keep that word out, keep it going. So if you see that behind us, that's what that is. You can check that out again. Is it .com, your website? Or theadamfrench.
Yeah, you can just go to social medias. It's theadamfrench.com, but also just at theadamfrench. You can message me, and there's actually a thing that I started called Recovering with Adam that it's kind of gaining traction, where I'll eventually shift everything to that. But you can go to at Recovering with Adam, where I talk a lot about the book, and just kind of that whole social media side of things is focused on recovery and healing and manhood and so forth. So it's kind of a baby brand that we're building up and excited about.
So October 13th, 6 to 7:30, recoveryrefuge.care. That's where you can go to find out or to reserve your seat. We're at 80 tables. This episode is going to come out on Monday. we need by the following Monday, we need to be at 100. Easy.
That's the goal.
Easy.
100.
We need to be
We
at
need
100 in a week.
We need 100.
recoveryrefuge.care. Go check it out. Get your spot. You probably see some of us there. So share the word. Bring your friends. Bring your family. Bring somebody you don't like. Let them come hear it too. So it's good for everybody. It's good for everybody.
Come hungry too. There'll be some
hungry.
good food there.
Do you want to give a sneak of the menu, or you want it to be a surprise? Either way, it's up to you.
I mean, hey, listen, it's Tennessee. You can't go wrong with chicken, right? So there's
There's
going to be some chicken. There's going to be some chicken.
There's going to be some chicken.
So be ready for some chicken. All right.
Little Fano Jr. Grant, he wouldn't care for the chicken.
No, he's not a chicken guy.
He's a
Not
3-year-old
chicken guy.
knucklehead.
Understand that.
He is, man.
How old is he? 4-year-old knucklehead.
He doesn't like chicken.
Nah, man.
Can you believe
Not
that?
yet.
All my kids would eat was chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Chicken
for
and
about
fries.
5 years.
Mac and
Nah,
cheese.
man. Nah, man. He's
Does he like mac and cheese?
not really.
This kid
Not
is.
really, man.
What does he
He's a
eat?
side
Special,
boy.
What does he
man.
like?
He's special, man.
No
He likes-
peanut butter and jelly.
No peanut butter and jelly. He likes spaghetti. He'll eat burgers, any kind of egg, any kind of
No sandwiches though. Just a
pasta, but not white sauce. So
I gotcha.
he's very
Picky.
picky,
Yeah.
but he's healthy.
Must
He's
have a
healthy, man.
really nice mom because
He's
you
healthy,
don't.
man. He's
There was no
healthy.
such thing as picky in my house. I remember sitting at the table, all the lights off and everybody gone, and my green beans was still on the table. As I got older, I realized that there was a sliding glass door, and that if I bribed my brother, he would slide it open, and I would wad him up and throw him out the bag. But she's like, "Man, you're eating? Yeah, I'm eating them. Yeah, they're out there, dogs out there licking them up." So it's got a good mom over there.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's one of a kind for sure.
Did I tell
see
the
it.
Sure.
Cheerios story here, or the where I was a kid and
Not with me in here.
I haven't heard.
so when I was a little kid, we were allowed a bowl of sugar cereal. So whatever we had, Fruit Loops or whatever it was, and then if we wanted a second bowl of cereal, it had to be cornflakes. And so we didn't want to eat cornflakes. There's no sugar, right? So I got smart one day, had some Honey Nut Cheerios, and I said, well, I'm gonna show them. So I fill my bowl up. I mean, it is just heaping with Honey Nut Cheerios. It's a school morning, so we got to eat and go catch the school bus. So too much. I couldn't eat it all, and I didn't have enough time. And so my grandmother, we lived next door to my grandparents. My grandmother was like, all right, take that bowl. It's time to go to school. Put it in the refrigerator. So we put it in there. As soon as I walk in the door from school, she's like, "Sit down, get your bowl of cereal, sit down." Those
Nice
Honey
and
Nut
soggy.
Cheerios were this big. I mean, they were about 3 inches across and just like
Falling apart.
it was so nasty. I can't even describe the consistency, but they just soaked up milk all day and just
You
nastiness.
didn't fill your bowl up that big anymore, did you?
No, so I'm sitting there crying, eating this stuff. It felt like hours. It could have only been 10 minutes. I have no idea. I might have some PTSD or something. But
memorable.
my grandfather walked in sometime later, and he's like, "Man, throw that stuff away and get out of here." I said, "Ooh, he
gosh.
saved me."
Saved you.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so nasty.
Gotta love him.
Yeah.
So grandmama wasn't playing. She
She
didn't play
wasn't playing.
games.
No.
That was going to be wasted.
And I didn't mind cornflakes after
After
that, to be honest. It was- yeah.
Takes it.
Yeah.
Not frosted, just a regular
Oh,
white
no,
box.
straight old
Yeah.
cornflakes. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was no good as a kid. No good.
Goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Throw some raisins in there or something.
And some sugar.
Yeah.
A lot of sugar.
yeah, it wasn't Frosted Flakes. It wasn't Frosted Flakes. But recoveryrefuge.care. Make sure you go check that out. Adam, man, thanks so much for coming back again. Man, we want you back after this, man. We'll have you back, and you can give us another update when we're a little further down the road. Somebody has given you 40-plus acres for free
Yes.
to go change the world and change a bunch of lives. And, man, we're excited to see where Recovery Refuge goes. Hope we can play some small part of that. But so excited that you're getting this thing fired up in God's time and not ours, right?
Right. Yeah. Thank you for letting me come on and talk about it. And, I think, man, for me, it's like you got to have a dream, and there's no reason to sit and wait. If you're a man out there, if you got something, God put something on your heart, you got to go after it.
Yeah.
No reason to wait. I'm not afraid to fail because it's God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
In my eyes, there's no failure. There's just falling forward. I just got to keep falling forward. You know, keep getting back up, going forward. So what drives me is knowing that, you know, there's a man right now and I can see his face and I know his name, and you don't know his name and you don't know his face, but I can see him. And I know that he's in a hotel by the airport, and his wife recently divorced him. She had to, because he's done stolen so much that they're garnishing her wages. She was going to lose everything if she didn't. Christian woman, loves God. They're in the church, plugged in always. He's got 2 children. You know, one of them my coach, and he's moved on now. But I'm saying he's right now, and he would give anything. He would do anything to be able to come to a place like Recovery Refuge. And the only thing that's standing between him and getting there is just resources, because I'm ready. I know the people are ready. I'm ready to get a staff, all that together. So if you're listening and you're wondering if this is important, it is, because there's a kid going home tonight that I know, and I could say his name, but I won't, and a wife going home tonight, and she don't have her husband. And, you know, he could go, there's a lot of other places you can say he could go here, he can go there, and 30 days this, but I'm going to tell you, if you think that 30 days is going to change a man's life, and you're mistaken. It's not going to happen. If Jesus took 3 years, I mean, how long is it going to take for him? And so come and be a part of it. Come join us on this mission. And I'm pretty passionate about it. And, you know, it happened to me. You know, I think a lot of times, you know, when my dad first left, my dad got arrested, you know, what if there had been a place for him to go? What if there had been somewhere in town where everybody knows, well, that's where you go. There's a place here. It's right up the road. This is where you go. This is where you go. If you really want to get sober, if you really want to change your life, and it's not going to be easy. It won't. I can tell you that. It ain't going to be easy, right? But if you really want to change your life, there's a place you can go, because people have done it. That's what I want for our community, where we know that and we feel great about it. We feel good about it. But I can't do it by myself. So I'm asking people to come alongside of us and help us, and come be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. I mean, that's what life's about. You know, we're created for relationships. We're created for community, and it's going to need all the help, all the churches, everybody together. So I thank you for letting me come and talk about it and be a part of this program. So I hope to be back. I got a couple other projects that I'm working on, so in the future we can come back and talk about those. But.
Oh, yeah.
New content.
Bring the energy. Man, Adam brings the energy. We love having Adam here. So recoveryrefuge.care. Go check that out. October 13th is the date of the dinner. What day is that, on Tuesday?
It's a Thursday.
Thursday. Y'all ain't got nothing to do on a Thursday night. October 13th, make sure you're out there. That is going to be at Long Hollow Baptist Church in Hendersonville. Recoveryrefuge.care. Secure your spot now. Don't wait, people. Don't wait. So, Fano, you going to send us out?
Yes. So just this morning, I was this just spoke to me. It's about some verses, 2 verses about humility. Romans 12:3-4. So it says, For by the grace given to me, I tell everyone among you not to think of himself more highly than he should think. Instead, think sensibly, as God has distributed a measure of faith to each one. Now, as we have many parts in one body, and all the parts do not have the same function, in the same way we who are many are one body in Christ, and individually members of one another. So it just speaks that it should be less of me and more of him in all that I do. Everything that I do, everything that I say, it's going to be somebody watching, even if they're not watching. Every action that I do on this earth should point towards him. So, and I should, it's easy for us as men to beat our chest and everything about things, but we have to remain humble and know that we're all part of his body. So
we're all intertwined. We're all connected.
For sure.
That's exactly what Recovery Refuge is here to do. You're right. We're all connected. So,
sure.
Adam, thanks for coming. Recoveryrefuge.care. Thanks for listening on this episode. Adam, thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
Guys, gals, we love you. God loves you more. October 13th, you ain't got nothing to do. Get out there, recoveryrefuge.care. Come check out this dinner, and we'll see you guys again next week.
Thanks for listening to GPS to God. Make sure you leave a rating or review on whichever app you happen to use. Also find us on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to our channel.